I could say that I went through more than anybody that I know, between the beatings, the abandonment. I mean, there was times that my mom would leave me at somebody's house and I wouldn't see her for a month, and I'd have absolutely no idea who these people were. Through all that, and because I never took the victim stance, I'm where I'm at today. You know, I think that made me stronger as a person, and I could endure more than others. So I'm willing to work harder, wrestle harder, show up at the gym before everybody. You know, it just was kind of like a mindset, and that's why I tattooed on my hand, well, on my wrist. It's all mental.
All right, welcome back to the Rain Brings Growth podcast. We got Charlie Fortik in today. He's the owner of 3D Fitness. I've only known him for a little under a year, and I've learned so much from him already. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce you to Charlie. What's up, Charlie?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time.
Yeah, sorry I kept, a lot of meetings, I planned on doing this, I think, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Oh, yeah, you're a busy man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the new gym opening up. You guys announced that, and then just running all your other.
We got Jackson Nutrition going in Twin Falls, which should be going by March. We have 3D Fitness House of Power that's going in Caldwell, and that should also be around March, April. And then we got an expansion at 3D Fitness Elite here in Nampa. So yeah, it's fun though. It's funny because a lot of people ask me, I'm happy as ever, but I'm just never satisfied. It just seems like there's always something more that I could be doing.
Yeah. I literally was just talking to my buddy last night about that. There's always goals that we've told each other that once I hit this, then I'll be happy. And then you hit that goal and it never makes you happy.
It's funny because my wife, I told her, give me one more year. And so I don't believe you no more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's just the hustle culture. I mean, I love it. Especially if you're going to be any kind of successful or anything like that, you just want to keep getting better and better. There is no perfect. There's always just getting a little bit better, right? So,
and I really think it's almost like an addiction. It's like being an athlete. You want to perfect it. And, and then you got other gyms and stuff that, not that you're like competing against in a bad way, you just want to be the most known and the most, just the best. We won the best fitness facility in Nampa, I guess, a while ago. So it just, things like that, make you feel good. Like, yeah, we're putting together, some good product.
Yeah, those little affirmations letting you know you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet. I mean, for myself, I came from Planet Fitness beforehand, so huge difference, Like, I just needed something to start, and my problem was I go to the gym so early in the morning that I couldn't go to Axiom or any of these other places or even Crunch because it opens at, I think, 4:30, but I needed to be leaving around 4:30, so once I seen your gym and I seen it was a 24-hour fitness and or 24 hours, not in 24-hour fitness, but I mean, just the culture change from a Planet Fitness to yours, just huge mindset everywhere, right? And mindset's so huge. And then you go to Planet Fitness and it's like, they literally have a tub of candy as you walk in and
Yeah. Yeah. Not very motivating.
I mean, at least get started. If that's what you need to do to get started, go to Planet Fitness. But yeah.
And honestly, different things for different people.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people feel more comfortable because they're not confident, and I'm sure like 3D Fitness, when you first walk in, it is a little bit intimidating because you got a lot of heavy lifters, you got a lot of pro athletes, stuff like that. But the fact that we've made it a private gym and it's a member referral only, so everybody knows everybody, so you fit in pretty quick.
Yeah, it's such a nice atmosphere there. I mean, all the mindset, the banners on the walls, everything, and how many great people I've met there. And a couple of them have come on this show, but I mean, it's just amazing. Everybody's got a lot of the same mindset, and that's what I think makes it such a special place.
And I think that's what I'm most proud of because I've owned gyms before, but this one's completely different. It's really, it feels family-like, and I think the fact that me and Mary are, way more involved with this one because we enjoy the people that are there. So it's just fun to say, and we bring our dogs, people look forward to, seeing Savage and Piper and now little Gunner, our little rescue.
Yeah, what a crazy story that was. I mean, I think that one post that Mary put up got like over 1,000 shares trying to figure out whose dog that was. It had fallen out of the back of a truck on the middle of the interstate, right?
Yeah, yeah. So a member at the gym, she works at the Humane Society, and she was going to work one morning, and because he's a pit bull, but we have American bullies, so they look real similar. So when she seen it on the side of the freeway, she picked it up, and it had fallen out of a truck or jumped out of a truck, and she contacted us, said, "Hey, do you know, maybe whose dog this is?" And right away, when we seen the pictures, I mean, it was rough. It shattered its leg. They were going to amputate the leg, but they put two posts and a plate in his foot, so he kept his leg. And just to see him come alive, when I'd first go to pet him, he wouldn't let me pet him. He'd cower down. And so the dogs are kennel trained, Savage and Piper. He would not come out of the kennel. As a matter of fact, he would climb to the back of the kennel to where I couldn't reach him. I would have to get Savage to come into my office at home, and then he would follow Savage out. And now we're just going to, foster him, but we're keeping him. Him and Savage and Mary, and he just, to see him so dang happy, and he gets excited. So he's never had treats. So at night they sleep in the kennel. He'll do backflips down the hall to make sure that you're following him with the dog cookie, and he'll run in his kennel and be like, okay. So it's just cute to see stuff like that.
That's so cool. And I know you were telling me too, you can see life coming back to this dog. Like obviously he came from probably like an abusive home or someone that treated a pit bull like they shouldn't be treated, or treat him like because I think a lot of people have said too, the pit bulls are just like any dog, or just how you raise them. Yeah. They're not mean dogs unless you raise them to be mean, right? So.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is they got a reputation. And so people just assume, oh yeah, I got a tough dog, so I need to, face them up with other dogs, and but they are the biggest lovers and the biggest goofballs. The Gunner, he's maybe a year old, and so this is a funny story. I don't think he's ever seen a sliding glass door, because in the mornings I get up and I get up pretty early. So I let all the dogs out of the kennels. They run down the hall and they go through the kitchen, and I go to the slider and I open it up. Well, I do it. Well, the morning Gunner beat me to the door, but it wasn't open. And he ran right into the glass. And he's done it a couple times, but now he realizes like, oh, I can't walk through that. But like, he's just a little goofball like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been cool seeing him at the gym. That's a cool thing about the gym. You just see these big old bulldog or pit bulls just strolling around, all nice to you though.
Yeah. And then Savage being, I think he was 160 something pounds, but last time I weighed him, we've been doing walks in the morning at the park. He's about 142 pounds. So he's got a 28-inch head. So he's a big boy.
Yeah, big dog. Is that the same kind of dog on Instagram, that Hulk?
Yep.
Is that the same kind?
Yep. Yeah. A matter of fact, Savage's dad is Quiet Riot out of Canada, which is a pretty famous American bully.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some good genes there.
Yeah.
And then you have Piper's a female, so you have those.
And Piper's actually Savage's sister.
Oh,
so
wow.
they're siblings. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you got Gunner, and then you got one little dog.
Oh my gosh, Sophie. So Sophie's the older one. She's about 5 years old. She's a little Boston Terrier, but she's the boss. And everybody, and it's funny because the other dogs are bigger, but they were puppies Sophie used to boss them around. So as they got older, they still think Sophie's the boss, even though I think she's 11 pounds.
Yeah.
But so it's super cute to watch Sophie boss everybody around.
That's funny. Yeah. I've seen that dog at the gym too. It's pretty funny to watch her. She definitely is a boss.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And she doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. She goes and goes and goes.
Yeah. You guys even have puppy treats at the dog or the place from like little, was it cookies or something I seen one day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big old dog lovers.
Yeah.
You got to move some of their dog toys aside so you can.
Yeah. So after work, when I'm done, I have to walk around the gym and I got to pick up all their toys. It's just like kids.
Yeah.
They got a toy box, in the front part of the lobby area, and they'll go grab their toy. And I used to be like, nope, one toy at a time. So I'd put them up.
Yeah.
So in Sophie, she can't reach them, but Savage and Piper can. At the end of the day, there's probably about 6 toys all through the gym.
Yeah, it's cool. Sometimes they'll bring you the little rope and have you throw it for them.
Yeah. Yeah, Savage, sometimes you got to tell them, hey, you got to let go or else you can't throw it.
Yeah. Yeah, Charlie, well, I really appreciate you coming on. I mean, one of the very first times that I met you, it was like at like 3 a.m. or something. And it was like, yeah, like I said, one of the first times. And I just was telling you, like, I really appreciate your gym and stuff. And we kind of just started talking about the mindset posters and everything. And I just said how, like, kind of the gym had helped me through some childhood stuff. That's all I said. And you're like, oh, was it childhood abuse? Like you already knew. It was crazy. And then we just connected from that point on. So it's been really cool to be able to talk to you throughout I don't know, I've been there probably 10 months. And just to hear your story. So I'm excited for everybody to hear your story, man.
All right, man.
So let's just kick it back all the way back to your childhood and then your child experiences and how that made you into the person you are now.
All right. So when I was, I think I was maybe 4 years old, and my mother, I thought she was a good mother, and I'm not saying that she's a bad mother, but I was so young that I didn't know the difference. I went to Summerwind Elementary School, and there was times that she would, be late to pick me up, and so the school back then, it was, and this is going to say my age, so that was in 1981. So they didn't really know what to do with me, so they put me in the wrestling room. And so I started wrestling at a really, really young age, never knowing that it was going to turn out to what it did for me. So I started wrestling at a young age because I had really a dysfunctional family. Just really priorities were, completely different than, what they should have been and stuff like that. So I started wrestling, and that went through, the years and everything. And then from wrestling, I met Randy Couture. So I moved to Portland, and I met Randy Couture in 95. And it was funny because I'm a wrestler. And I mean, I fought all growing up. I was kind of an ornery kid. So they were short a fighter. And he came up to me. He's all, hey, and I was wrestling for Roy Pittman at the time. And Randy knows Roy Pittman. And he's all, hey, we're short a fighter, 155. And I go, well, I'm 140. And he's all, are you willing to fight? I go, I'm a wrestler, not a fighter. And this was in 95. He said, hey, $500, win or lose. I go, where do I change?
Yeah.
$500, as a kid. I was like, wow. So that's what actually started my fighting career in 95. And so that's, I'll even go back even further to where I think the whole fitness and everything taught me the discipline. And I think because of how my home life was, it was almost like I was two different people, because my identity in school and in middle school and in high school, it was, oh, Charlie, the wrestler, oh, Charlie, so nobody ever really knew what my home life was like. So I kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Like two different people. I knew it's almost like I was lying to myself and everybody else. But then when I went home, I knew what, my life was like. It really wasn't, and this is the other thing is I don't ever want to sound like a victim, because I'm not a victim. I think a victim is a mindset. I went through a lot of stuff as a child, a lot of abuse, a lot of things that any child should never need to go through. And I think once we get that victim mentality, we start, pity me. But I could say that I went through more than anybody that I know, between the beatings, the abandonment. There was times that my mom would leave me at somebody's house and I wouldn't see her for a month, and I'd have absolutely no idea who these people were. Through all that, and because I never took the victim stance, I'm where I'm at today. I think that made me stronger as a person, and I could endure, I think that's how you say the word, more than others. So I'm willing to work harder, wrestle harder, show up at the gym before everybody. It just was kind of like a mindset. And that's why I tattooed on my hand, on my wrist, it's all mental. Because we make our beliefs are our reality. What you believe and how you see yourself is your reality. And I never, even when I guess there was a time that I did think I was a victim, when I was in the middle of it, but once I got a chance to step away, yeah, I'm a savage. You know, they say, how can you know a savage is when he's walking through hell and he's just thankful that his legs are working or whatever. I mean, I've heard the quote and I like the quote because I feel like, man, I walked through hell and I'm still standing and I'm thankful for every single thing that I got. I'm even thankful for the experiences that I went through. So now I could recognize, like you, showing up at the gym and 4 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, just kind of knowing like, hey, this guy, you know, doesn't need me, but, you know, probably let him know that he's not alone, you know?
Yeah. No, that was huge, man. Such a pivotal point I can remember in my life of being able to meet you.
And all things are possible. Seriously. It's all like, I mean, we talk a lot and you ask me questions about like my success and stuff, and it's all achievable. There's no reason I could do it and you can't. It's just you got to figure out the path to go down to get to your goal. I think people look at too many paths and they can never make their mind up which path to take to get to the goal, so they never even start the journey. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people are waiting for the perfect condition to take that first step instead of just taking that first step and then learning from that point.
And it's scary. Yeah. I'll tell you this, man. The first being broke, like so to be honest, I lived in the mission. I wasn't married or anything. I lived in the mission just to save money, to get ahead, to put money in a personal account. And I hoarded that money, you know, and then I slowly started living. I bought myself kind of a not so nice car, you know, and I just built from there.
Yeah, I think that delayed gratification that maybe people that have gone through child abuse can understand maybe a little bit more, because you've gone through all this crappy stuff first and you're just hopeful for later on that it's going to get better. And especially I think there's a big correlation between that and the gym, right? Because you have to have that delayed gratification. And
it's exactly like fitness. So people want their bodies to change within 30 days. No, man, you need to be disciplined and keep doing what you're doing. And I guarantee you in 60 days, you'll start to maybe notice. In 6 months, you're really noticing. And in a year, you're happy that you didn't give up. Same thing in life, man. Just go through the pain. Just go through the pain. And I'm not talking physical pain. I'm talking, physical pain when it comes to working out, because sometimes you get sore as ever. But the mental, like, you know, and when I say pain, I mean the doubting yourself, or, you know, what do they say? No risk, no reward.
Right.
So, hey, plan on losing.
Yeah. Plan
on losing. That way, if you win, it's a bonus. If you lose, you learn from it and you get up and you try again, you know? So, but just don't ever give up. You know, I think that's the biggest thing for me is man, I've been knocked down so many times, and sometimes I still get in my head and I think, oh, you know, people don't like me, blah, 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 you know, all this stuff. And I think that's related to my childhood. And then I snap out of it. I'm like, it's almost like a little like movie or something in my mind, like, oh, I got evidence. This guy doesn't really care for me. Oh, this guy doesn't really care for me. Oh, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
Do you like you? And I love me. Like, I love the fact that I'm kind to animals. I love the fact that I'm not easily persuaded. Like, I don't do what's popular. You know, I'm not looking for friends. So I'm not going to lie or act like somebody that I'm not just to impress somebody to get them to like me. Can you cuss on this?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I don't. I am me. And, you know, but I'm probably the truest person, not the truest, but one of the most true people that you'll meet. I'm rigid. I tell it how it is. And you're like, today, people are so worried about hurting people's feelings. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
Yeah.
If you're not following the diet, I'm gonna say, don't bullshit me and don't bullshit you.
Right.
You're being lazy.
Yeah.
You know, if you want it, get it. If you don't, then fucking pack it in.
Yeah.
You know, go do something else.
Right. I think you're a prime example of that saying, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Like, you have the ability to really hurt someone, but you've been through so much violence to know this calmness now. And
this is another thing. Once you know that you're a savage, it's almost like
Who are you trying to prove it to?
Yeah, and what do I really need it for? Like, I'll protect my wife, and I'll protect the underdog every single day. Like, for example, there's this guy that goes to the gym. He's very, very quiet. He watches people because he observes, like learning how to work out, different moves and stuff like that. His name's Anthony. I love the guy. Well, he was looking at a member, and the member, for some reason, walked over and said, "Hey, what the heck's your problem?" Blah, blah, blah. I lost my shit. That member is not there anymore. It's just like nobody's going to pick on somebody for, I won't have it, and I don't know if that's also because of my childhood and I got, beat on by grown men. I don't know, but
yeah. There's no place for ego.
No, especially at our gym.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why we go month to month, and we're a private facility, and I'm not, like I said, I'm pretty rigid. So I hope this doesn't come out the wrong way on this podcast, but like, I don't give a shit. If you're being inappropriate with a girl or if you're being rude to another guy, go to fucking somewhere else, because we're all family and we're all here to lift each other up, because it's easy to beat somebody down because you're insecure and you're trying to make yourself look good. You know what? Everybody, I think, at 3D Fitness is confident to where they see an underdog come in. They're like jumping to help lift them up and make them feel positive and make them feel like they're in the right spot. And I think that's what you're talking about as far as all the positive affirmations on the wall, the way that people talk, everybody's like-minded. And I really feel like it's a blessed place because I've owned 4 other gyms. This is my 5th gym. And none of them were like this, but none of them were a private gym either.
Right. What were some of those pivotal moments in your childhood that made you want to go into bodybuilding?
I think, so I've always been into independent sports. I've tried playing football one time, and I think because of the discipline, I believe that I'm very disciplined. And if I'm on a team and they're not as disciplined and they're not putting in as much effort as I am, it upsets me because I am very competitive. So wrestling was an independent sport. MMA was an independent sport, and bodybuilding, if I lose, it's up to me. If I win, I'm the one that put in the work. And I think the other thing that it was almost like a meditation, or not a meditation, but a peaceful place for me, because the harder I work on those weights, in my head, it gave me that reward of nobody's outworking me. Nobody's outworking me. When they want to stop at 10 reps, no, they could stop. I'm going to keep going. When I'm on a stair mill dieting for a show and I'm just dying, it's all mental. Something kicks in. Okay, so it's like this. So when you're tired and everything, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm done. And then a good song comes on and you're like, oh, hell yeah, let's get it. That's what it's like. When I think, nope, they could stop. That's my good song coming on. Nope. I'll see you at the finish line. I'll be holding the water for you when you come across because I'll already be there.
Dude, the mental thing is so crazy. Just like on Friday, my back's killing me right now. But like, I think that's what I was getting some mental stuff in my head when you wanted me to stop at like 28 or something, right? On that back.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What'd you do? Like 80?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like.
So the audience knows what we were doing. So he did 2 warm-up sets. He did a top set, which was a heavy, heavy weight, which we did, I think, 8 reps. And then we took probably about 40% of the weight off. And I planned on him hitting like maybe 28. I have absolutely no idea what happened. And these were lat pull downs on a Nautilus single pull machine. He did 80 freaking reps. Yeah, I was like, okay, man, I don't know, but
dude, it's one of those things where the scientists can like tell you everything there is about a muscle and how it gets fatigued, but then you get like that willpower that you can't even put any science on. Like the mother that can lift a car when it's for her child, but she never goes to the gym, right?
Yeah, I did not expect that. Honestly, like even when we got to 40, I thought, okay, he's going to stop at the number 40 because it's a good number to stop at. Well, okay, maybe 50. And then once we got to 60, I'm like, I don't know when this guy's stopping. But I kept counting for you.
Yeah, no, it was sweet. And then you just get louder and louder, and it was like the David Goggins.
Because I started kind of getting pumped, like, holy crap, we're going to get 100. Come on. Yeah.
I know, dude, that was crazy. But I understand what you mean, like that mind power, and it's just like the bet against me kind of thing. And then those things kick in, and you're like, get a second wave of emotion and you just got to go. And I think that was one of the biggest things that I wish I would have learned earlier in life, is just to stop caring what other people think. Yeah. Even now, like, I still have to make these little videos and stuff, and I'm the one that's editing these podcasts and everything. And like, I hate the fact that I still, to this point, wonder what people are going to think about it. But I just like, why do I care? You know, it's like, that's
hard.
That's not going to do any good. And then I want to be a strong example for my kids, because in this day and age, everybody's worried about what people think. And I need to be that strong example for my kids. But it's just a hard point to get to. But once you're there, like, I'm pretty much over that now. Like, I'd probably say 85%, I'm good. There's still that like 15% of the time where it's still that little voice in the back of your head thinks like you're not good enough, or people are going to think you're weird for doing these videos and fitness. And I'm like, why is it weird for now that like I'm trying just to help other people? But I had no problem back in the days, like, just look how messed up I'm getting, you know, so drunk and everything. And I'd have no problem posting that. But I try and talk about like mindset or helping people out. And I'm like,
because people think I'm weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. People think it's weird to help other people, you know, and like social media, like, and even me, I get caught up in it. How many likes did I get? Mm-hmm. Oh man, what the heck? You know? Or, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a big social media guy. So my wife and my agent, or not my agents, my, Misfit Media does all my, you know, stuff, but I do look at what they post, you know, on my stuff. And I think, oh man, only 50 likes. Geez, you know, and then I'll see somebody else, 300 likes. I'm all, you know, and it gets in your head. And I think, again, it goes back to being a victim. Like, oh, you know, I'm not worth it. I'm not, you know, fuck that.
I think they say comparison is the thief of joy, but then I've heard another one more recently than that, and it's like comparison can be the thief of joy, but also can show you what's possible. So once you switch that from like victim to like the poor me, why am I only getting 50 likes and he's getting 300? And then you could be like, well, what did he do differently? Yep. Maybe I can improve.
What was his path, and what path do I need to find to get there?
And that's where the difference between a winner's mindset and a loser's mindset is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like another one I've heard is, like, there's a difference between being poor and broke.
Yeah.
Right? Because broke is temporary, poor is a mindset, and that's forever.
Yeah.
So I always tell my kids, like, we're not.
Like, I think I've told you, I'm broke. I just don't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not poor. And I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's like
it's just a mindset.
Yep. But I keep that mindset to keep me going, because if I always think, I mean, like, you know, being a millionaire, it's cool and everything, but if I don't see myself like that, then I'm always, you know, trying to do better, like I said, like I'm happy, but I'm never satisfied. So I don't see myself like that. And plus I also still see myself, you know, as just a hardworking, you know, live within my means until I'm 65. Then I'll cut loose, and then I'll start enjoying, you know, and everybody's all, oh, you can't take it with you. And it's not even the money, you know, it's the security of like, yeah, but if I have an opportunity, you know, to enjoy it later, because I'm having fun, you know, I love what, and that's another thing, that not a lot of people get to love what they do, and I make money at it, and I make good money at it, but I get to help people. So I'll tell you a story just real quick. And this is what really drives me to do what I do in fitness. If she hears this, she'll know who she is, but I'm not going to say her name, just, you know, out of respect. So I had a client, and she came in, and I had to actually buy a separate scale because my scale wouldn't go over 400 pounds. And, you know, we worked together. She used to sit in the parking lot and cry before she would come in, because it was so hard for her. When we first started working together, we could only walk 2 minutes on the treadmill. Then it got to where we could walk 2 miles. Well, then one day she came in and she was crying, and I thought, oh man, you know, what happened? And so we went over by the treadmills, and she kind of whispered to me, or she said it in like a soft voice, not really whispering, but she had slept in a lazy boy for 15 years because she was too big to get in and out of the bed. That night, the night before that morning, she slept in the bed with her husband for the first time in 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, that's why I do what I do, and the whole competing and the bodybuilding, that's cool. That, it's a cool challenge, but my passion is weight loss, and I told Mary, I still think I'm going to do this. And this is the part that kind of, I almost feel like a sellout now that I've made, quite a bit of money and stuff. My original plan was to open up an obese, center. Like it's a weight loss clinic, you don't just come work out. So it would be kind of like, getting a certification, you'd go over nutrition, you'd go over biomechanics, you'd go over, different muscle groups. So you'd actually learn about your body. And food is so damn confusing that because of politics and stuff, if you didn't actually go to school to learn the properties of what a protein, they mean just all the properties of lipids, fats, or lipids, which are fats, carbohydrates, a net carb versus a complex carb, or what aminos are in what proteins, man, you'll never know, So I want to educate, on what foods are good and what foods are okay, like Kellogg, they promote healthy, bars and stuff. They're shit.
Yeah.
They're shit for your body, but they promote them as they're healthy.
Right.
And somebody that's ignorant to nutrition, they don't know no different, and they're trying their butt off, and they're not getting no results.
Yeah.
So I think I keep going back and forth, but that would be my dream, to open up a clinic like that. It's just hard because a lot of the people that are overweight, they don't have a lot of money, and to run a program like that would cost a lot of money. And there's not a lot of like Medicaid, insurance. They just don't cover stuff like that. Even though obesity-related illnesses is the number one cause of death in the U.S., they'd rather send you to the doctor and put you on some kind of medication.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty excited for the new wave coming in with RFK Jr.
Yes.
Like, that's huge. Looking into the FDA and what foods are allowed here in America but aren't allowed in Europe. And
illegal.
Then you look at
and
then you look at the age expectancy of people over in Europe versus America, and you see the complete difference. And he's looking more into like the vaccines and everything, but even just the foods itself is going to be amazing just to see. I think this next few years coming up is going to be great. And if people are wanting to get into a better lifestyle and fitness and nutrition and everything for themselves and their kids, like, this is going to be a pivotal time to just spring yourself forward. It's going to be great.
And I think they're going to make the legit education, or like the knowledge, a lot more accessible, instead of all these people that want to sell a book. So they take a little bit of the truth, add some things to it. Now you got this ketosis book for this diet, or the Mediterranean, or there's so many different diets, and people eat it up, and they're just making a ton of money.
Right.
I will say, I think the Mediterranean diet is one of the number one diets. So if you really look at the breakdown of the foods and everything, for losing weight,
I like the paleo one because it's pretty much just you're eating natural stuff.
Yep.
As long as you're not eating like all the pesticides and everything. But that's back before I knew a little bit more than I know now. And people would ask me, I was just like, just eat natural stuff. Like, try and stay away from as many preservatives as you can, and just eat whole foods and see where that gets you.
If it's in a box, it's probably not good for you. And think of this, like in the 40s and 50s, food was not lasting more than 3 days in the house. That's why they had gardens, and they would slaughter the animal. And like, you have food that'll last a couple weeks, and you eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not good.
What's some misconceptions when it comes to weight loss? I think that there's a lot of stuff around there. For instance, people say like no carbs and just do a lot of cardio and different things of those. I mean, those are probably the top two that I could think of off the bat. But what are some of the misconceptions that you think?
Okay, so I'm going to go on a little bit of a ramble.
I love it.
Okay, so the body's got one job, and that's to survive, right? So it's going to adapt to whatever you put it through. So it's going to adapt to its environment, right? Okay, so now, so that's the resistance and the cardio, and we'll get back to that here in a second. And then the food, you got to figure fat is energy. So you got to think of what energy consumption and what does that energy do. Like a carbohydrate converts into glucose, which converts into glycogen. There's only two things in the body that use glycogen, is your muscle and your brain. So if those are full of energy, well, the only place for those carbs to go are in the fat cells, as stored energy. And fats. So lipids, if you know your lipids and know the good fats versus the bad fats, good fat will actually help burn bad fat. So, boy, I'm getting a little deep, but I hope people kind of understand this. So if energy is measured in heat and you get 9 calories for every 1 gram of fat and 4 calories for every 1 gram of carbohydrate and 1 gram of protein, 9 is greater than 4, so obviously it burns hotter. Okay. So now if I took lard and I put it on a frying pan and I didn't turn that burner on, it's just going to sit as lard, right? So I turn that frying pan on just a little bit, it's going to help break down and, turn it into a liquid to secrete out of your body. So have you ever heard of to lower your cholesterol, eat healthy fats?
Yeah.
So all cholesterol is fats in the body. So what it's doing is the 9 is hotter than the 4. So it's actually heating up to help break down all that junky, like trans fat, saturated fat. So Pauline Molly, and all your omegas are good fat consumptions. So that's the number one source of energy that I would be consuming. Carbohydrates is definitely overrated. Carbohydrates, and I'm a bodybuilder, and I was consuming probably 700 grams of carbs a day. But I was also running into a lot of issues, inflammation in my digestion, bloating, swollen joints. So carbohydrates really aren't as good for you as you think. And the other thing is we don't eat nearly as much fiber as we need to, because fiber works with a carbohydrate to slow down the process from going from a net carb to a complex carb. So a net carb converts into glucose a lot faster, right? A complex carb converts slower. So as your body's using the glycogen, it's getting introduced into your body. So with the food, it's calories, which is another measurement of energy. So it's, calorie control. So finding out what your total daily energy expenditure is on your caloric intake. And if you don't want to lose any muscle, you want to make sure that you hit your caloric intake, but then put yourself in a deficit with cardio. So do maybe 400 calories of cardio. So now you're taking, say that my total daily energy expenditure is 3,000. So I eat 3,000, so now I'm getting all the nutrients for my tissue that I need, but now I went in a deficit of 400 because I did 400 extra movement, to go in the deficit. Some people get confused and think, okay, let's go in the deficit of nutrition. So now we're going to get back to the muscle part. So if you go in a deficit of nutrients because you're trying to go in a deficit of calories, so say that my calories are 3,000, but I'm only eating 2,000. Well, that means that I'm low on nutrients to feed the tissue in the body. The tissue in the body is the motor of the body. And when I say tissue, I mean muscle. So the muscle is the motor of the body. That's the only thing that uses fuel. So if I'm not getting enough nutrients, then my body, it's called catabolic. My body starts eating itself and the motor actually shrinks into a smaller motor, which, people know how cars run. So it's like turning a V8 engine into a little 4-cylinder. So now when you do consume your 3,000 calories, which you're supposed to, your body's collecting more energy. So there's no motor to burn the extra energy. So you actually getting fatter, and it's called skinny fat. Your number on the scale is going down because muscle is more dense than fat. So you think that you're doing a good job, but you're getting really jiggly. And when I say build the muscle, I don't mean build it in circumference. I mean build it more dense, more firm, more solid. So a lot of females are like, oh, I don't want to build my muscles. I don't want to get big. Well, I don't mean big in massive. I mean big and as healthy. And once you get a healthy muscle, you could eat a little bit more flexible because you built the motor to burn all the fuel. But to do that, you have to do a resistance. So people think cardio is how you lose weight. No, doing a resistance training is how you lose weight, because now when you do cardio, you're only losing calories, right? You're not really losing weight. So you go in a deficit of calories. When you're doing a resistance, you're actually burning fat because it takes energy, and all fat is a stored energy, but you're also inflicting damage on the cell, which is going to burn energy after the workout because of the cellular activity of the recovery of the cell. So doing a resistance with a little bit of cardio with a good, diet is the way to go. You go too low on the food, you're losing muscle. You go too much on the cardio, you're just spinning your wheels because you're only burning calories. You're not burning fat. You do a resistance with a good balance of cardio with a, somewhat healthy diet, and it doesn't have to be 100%, baby steps. And that's another thing that I think people get hung up on. They think they need to do it all at once. No, focus on one thing. Once you master that, focus on the second thing. Once you master that, focus on the third thing. Within 3 months, you got a pretty good system going on, and then go from there. That was a long rant. So
yeah,
but it's hard to explain it really short because it really is confusing and it really is, hard to do. And that's why, people hire like me and you, personal trainers, is because unless you study it, it's kind of hard to understand it.
Right. And there's so many different things between schools teaching us the wrong thing, like on the food pyramid. And then now people are just also these Ozempic shots are coming out. And now people are seeing weight loss, but they aren't realizing that they're probably just losing a lot of muscle.
Well, they are, because think of what it does. It suppresses your appetite. You got a hormone in your body. It's called leptin. Oh, dang. I could be wrong. That might be the one that makes you hungry and one makes you full. But what it does is it manipulates a hormone inside the body to where you can't eat, and it'll make you sick. So if you're not eating, you're losing weight, but you're also losing probably about 30% of your muscle because now you're starving your body of the nutrients. So you're in a catabolic state to where you're burning fat, but you're also burning muscle.
Because isn't it that muscle burns first if your body needs energy rather than pulling from fat?
It does, and I'll tell you why. Because your body, it's got to survive, right? So if it feels like it's got extra tissue to consume, it's going to save that fat for a rainy day. So that's the last resort because your body's going to stay alive. So you'll lose a lot of muscle and then start losing fat, or it'll be close to a 50-50 split, but then once you start going too low, then it's more muscle than fat. And then it goes to where now you don't have any more muscle to burn, and now you look not so good. You look
right,
pretty ill.
Yeah. One of the cool things I learned from just my own journey of this fitness and trying to teach others to be the personal trainer, I had to learn a lot of stuff. And one of the things I learned was that your muscle mass actually dictates how long you can live.
Oh yeah.
You get sick. Older people, when they fall down, the people that have muscle can probably get back up without much of an issue versus the people that haven't had the bone density breakdown over the time of building muscle, and now those bones are thicker. They're not going to be hurting like the other person would be. Or just even when you're getting sick, if you have more muscle, it helps you recover better. Is that?
That is. Yeah. It is. And exercise keeps you young. I have another client, he's an older gentleman, and we focus a lot on stability because in the beginning, he couldn't even do a squat. And I'm not saying like a squat with a bar. I'm talking sit down in a chair and stand up because his hips were so tight and his flexibility and everything. So we work a lot on, and I've trained him probably 4 years now, maybe 5 years, because it keeps him young. He hikes now before he couldn't because his coordination just wasn't there. And we do still simple things like step on a box, step off a box, step on a box, step off a box. I call it the green. We set up stations and we run we'll go core, legs, core, back, chest. So we try to, but it's all a lot of stability. No machines, no guided movements because we're not trying to lift a bunch of weight. So we don't need to be in a fixed position. We want those stability muscles to help us to keep him young.
Yeah. Hey, trust me, from working in a prison, I know the people that have been there a long time, they're the ones that actually care about their health and they're eating right, not eating all the carbs and stuff you can get from commissary, and they're actually working out. And you ask them how old they are, and you're thinking maybe 30, and they're 55, 60, and you're like, holy hell, these guys found I'm not saying that everybody should go to prison to look young, but yeah, definitely they're working out every day, they're eating the right food. So just from that perspective of me being in the prison, I can definitely see how much of a difference it is. People that just work out every day and fitness is their life, and that's unfortunately, that's all they have, is fitness to keep their mind right. But you can definitely see but yeah, I've had, or the depression thing was people just go for the depression meds. I mean, I see it all the time at the prison. Like people are getting these, but I see them just sitting on their bunk all day, or they're not, eating the right things. And I think that, I mean, it's not just in prison. A lot of people just reach for the easy food.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of different things that if people just would like not take the easy path or the cheap path, because they say like eating healthy is expensive, but like what's really expensive is later on down the road when you got to try and fix all those problems now.
Yeah.
And I don't think any
Doctor
time
bills
that
are expensive.
Yeah.
And so eating good is not nearly as expensive as everybody claims it to be. Like I go to Winco, I get a 50-pound bag of, well, this is when I was competing. And this is like, we're talking 5,000 calories a day, 5 to close to 6,000 calories a day. I get a 50-pound bag of rice for, I think, $21, which would last me about 3 months. I'd get a 50-pound bag of oatmeal at Winco. I'd go to the, not slaughterhouse, but wherever, and I'd get a ton of chicken. I would cook it all, freeze it, so really, I mean, so you figure I'm eating enough for 3 people. And I was probably spending about $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a lot, but you got to figure that's 3 people. That's 6,000 calories a day. So like now, I mean, I still eat, and I'm a very boring eater. Like, I think it's because I'm lazy. So I do egg whites. I do 1 cup of eggs, 2 whole eggs in the morning. I do sway. On my next meal, I do a meal replacement because usually I'm at work and I'm, busy, and I found that I'd rather, just do a meal replacement, and I do the MRE because it's actually, real food, and then I'll do chicken and peas, and then at night I'll do chicken, peas, and red potatoes. And through the week I eat the same thing. I don't know if it's because I've just done it so long that I don't want to think about what to eat. So my wife does the same thing for me every night. Well, now she does two days in a row. Yeah. But we have a freezer out, in the garage to where everything's all pre-made. Right. All the rice is there, whatever, so it's just easy. She puts them in the Tupperware, throws them, and it's like TV dinners. I just pull them out, throw them in my bag, and that's how I go.
Yeah, I think once you can change your mind too, that you're eating for the nutrients rather than the taste, it's like I can eat the same chicken and rice all week. I mean, I'd make the same lunch for all week, and then I make the same breakfast for the whole week. And honestly,
and it's weird. It seems like it's easier in the week when you got to schedule, but on the weekends.
Oh yeah, and you're home. Yeah, I know, dude. I hear you. When I'm on the road and I just have my backpack full of my 2 days worth of food, it's easy because this is all I got. So I'm not gonna go be tempted to go check the pantry every few minutes, and then dig into the kids' Halloween candy or whatever, right?
And I'm too cheap. Yeah. The cost of food, I'm not going to go pay $80 for dinner.
Yeah.
I'd rather just, I mean, I do when I go out with my wife or whatever, but yeah, I think my meals are maybe $3 a piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you can just like do a whole grill full of chicken or steak or whatever you're going to do. And now it's just done. You just got to chop it up, weigh it out. So you have everything out and it's ready to go. That's a nice part about doing the meal prep. It kind of sucks because it takes time, but
I only do, I say I do it.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky that I have a wife that does it for me every Sunday and every Wednesday. So everything gets prepped and then goes out in the garage, and then she just pulls the Tupperware out, does my bowls, and now she does it 2 days in a row because she used to do it every single night.
Yeah.
But now she'll do it tonight, and then she'll do it again Tuesday night, and then she'll do it Thursday night, and then the weekends here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary's awesome. I've been fortunate to meet her too. I think there's a big thing to be said about having a supportive spouse in anybody's endeavor of entrepreneurship or anything else like that. How has Mary been a part?
Jeez, man, I'll tell you what. Like, I waited till I was 40 years old to get married, and I've had my ups and I've had my downs. In my life, being a professional fighter, making money. I've been, pretty lucky to be. Well, that's not true. I'm not. So I built pallets for $8 an hour for 9 months once because I was down on my luck. And so I haven't always, so I've had my downs and stuff, but I don't think that I would be where I am today without Mary. Actually, I know I wouldn't. They always say, behind every man, there's a strong woman. And she is a savage. Like I say, one, putting up with me is tough because I am pretty damaged from, my childhood to where sometimes, I'm a little bit needy. Like I feel like, hey man, I work, really, really hard. I take care of you financially, pretty much give you, what you need. Come give me a back rub or, just weird stuff like that. Or, show me some appreciation. And she works her ass off too. So sometimes it's hard for her to deal with me because I have issues, from my childhood, to where, but she's, like I said, she's a savage. Like, we go to counseling, and she deals with it, and with honestly, and I mean, nothing's overly bad, but I mean, she supports me in everything I do. And honestly, it's like when you're moving like 200, like we were just talking before we started this podcast, when you're moving $250,000 in into something that's like iffy, but she's all, I believe in you, babe. Go ahead.
That's powerful.
Like, all right,
so powerful.
Babe. And then you don't feel alone because it's scary. I mean, $250,000 might not be a lot for some people, but it's
a
like,
house.
Oh man. It's like,
it used to be a house.
Yeah. I'm like, boy, I really hope I make it, but with her saying, and it's almost like empowering because I'll doubt myself, with this, like a business opportunity. But then when she's all, no, you can do it. I've seen you. You'll make it work. You'll figure it out. To where then I'm like, fuck yeah. Yeah, I will figure it out. You are right. Because sometimes we get a little bit doubtful and then we get scared. And just like I was telling you, to make that step, it's scary. And even every time I go into a new business venture, it's a little scary. But I got a badass wife that's like, yeah, let's rock it. What's this going to happen? We're going to be under a bridge. Well, we still got each other.
Exactly, yeah, because you'll never actually lose everything because you always have her.
Yeah.
Man, I'd say this all over every episode I do. It's like I have such a saint for a wife. Ashley's been there. I mean, I think that a lot of the stuff I went through as a kid, unfortunately, I don't have empathy. So like, man, I say some stuff that I wish I could take back. But like, man, just having her, I know that I'll have so much support, and she's been huge. Like when I don't feel like I have a believer, I know that I can run some ideas off her, and she always brings me back up, and it's huge. And I've heard that from a lot of different people. I mean, Alex Hormozy is one of the guys that I follow, and his Layla Hormozy, right? His wife.
Yeah.
Like, he always says that he wouldn't be anywhere he is without her. And, you say the same thing. Everybody just says, like, having the right woman by your side or spouse by your side is just huge.
And especially people that are, I know that I'm damaged. I know that I've developed some beliefs that aren't, like, healthy, and it's because the things that you see as you grow up, you see it, so you think that that's reality because you believe it. So if you believe something, then that's your reality. Like if I told you this is blue, but it's really green, well, if I believe it's blue, it's blue.
Right.
So for Mary to help me research, so the Franklin model, the CSC, it's like retraining my brain to change my belief system, because everything that I seen growing up, I truly 100% believed that was reality and that's how life was. And all these healthy families, they were just faking it in front of people like my family did, because we were jacked up. But if there was anybody around, we acted like, oh, he's not on drugs, and my son, he's doing good, and, she's not getting molested, all this stuff. So I just, for some reason, believed that every family was like ours. They were just better actors,
Yeah, you're just a product. Yeah, you're a product of your environment at that point,
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people can relate to that because you're just, they say you're the average of the 5 people you hang around, and then you grow up in a certain thing, and now that's what you know to be true. I see that a lot in the prison that I have I've seen family members coming in and out, like, oh, my dad's over here, my uncle's over here, like that's their whole life, and it's not a big deal to them going to prison because that's all they've known, and they think that's just normal. And then like, oh, we'll get out, and then it's unfortunate, but I think that comes back to that's all they've known.
And I think that's one thing that I don't agree with about prisons is there's no reform. Like, so the Mendez brothers, I don't know if you know who they are. Yeah. They killed their parents, back in, like 30 some years ago. But they've created, or maybe not created, but they're a part of a positive, positive affirmations, because in prison, people talk about, well, one, they try to brag about who they are and be a tough guy and all this stuff. And then they are trying to outdo each other. Like, yeah, I'm going to pick up this, when I get out and all this stuff, to where nobody talks about, hey, I'm going to start a business. I'm really good at putting furniture together or whatever they do.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to start a furniture repair business, or, nobody supports each other in the prisons like that. It's all about, hey, I know where you could hook up with this drug to,
right.
Do that, So I just think that they need to really restructure it to where there's not such a recidivism.
Recidivism, yeah.
Yeah, however you say that word. It's sad.
Yeah. All right, sorry for the technical difficulties. I keep having to change these cameras, but it's just easier to say that rather than try and edit it out because it's gonna be that's a couple times now. But I love this conversation, man. Just having someone to talk to that's the same mindset, I think is so big, and it's kind of hard trying to find those people nowadays.
Yeah. Well, and I think also with social media, because social media is made everything so competitive. So when you do talk to somebody, they're one-uppers.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And then I think social media only shows you the highlights of stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't get to see everything that they went through. And then, like, for myself, I start comparing myself to like these 20-year-old TikTok stars or something that have made it. And now I'm like, I'm 31. I'm like 31, dude. Am I too late? Then I talk to other people. They're like, dude, you're still young. Like,
I'm 50.
Yeah. So it's just It's just, the comparison.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that.
Well, my wife always gives me a hard time because I say I'm 50. I won't be 50 till March 4th. So she's all, why are you saying that you're older than you are? So I'm 49.
Yeah. Well, it's close enough.
Yeah.
But how do you think that discipline from bodybuilding and MMA has transferred over to the business life?
I think because, so you get out what you put in. So in bodybuilding, if I don't do a full workout, so say I'm getting tired and I'm doing legs, and the last two exercises, I got a superset of leg extension leg curls. And I think, you know what? I don't really need to do it. But then show day, I don't win. Then I go back to my discipline. Like, I wasn't disciplined enough to finish my workouts. So with business, getting out of bed. Well, because I think that's one of the toughest things for people to do is to get out of bed. So I get up at about 2:40 in the morning, and my wife gives me a hard time because she's all, that's usually when people are going to sleep.
Yeah.
But I get up, I walk my dogs, I walk 3 miles around that loop out there. Then I come back in, and I used to go to the gym, that early, but now, I feel like I'm neglecting my dog. So I do the 3 mile walk, then I go home, I clean up, and then I go to work. I think the discipline of getting up is huge. And then, not skipping. So if there's something there that I don't want to do, I do it. And I think Mike Tyson said this, do what you hate like you love it.
Right. That's discipline.
Yeah. It's and how do you become successful? If I only did the things that I liked, I wouldn't be in a very good spot. But it's crazy because the things that I used to not like to do, I actually enjoy doing now, because I see the growth behind it. It's like, oh, wow. So I see the purpose, because before I'm like, why am I cleaning the bathrooms?
Yeah.
But now, our gym, and you would think it's just a bathroom. you know, but people notice that, you know. And here's the other thing is it's funny because I actually own it, but a lot of the, you know, some of the newer people, because we do open enrollment, you know, a couple times a year to where people from, you know, the outside can come in without being, I think a lot of people think I'm the janitor or a trainer, you know, so a lot of people don't actually know. I mean, a huge majority does, but, you know, a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
So it's nice to, you know, it doesn't matter where you're at in life. Just be willing to work hard. I go in and I clean the toilets in the bathroom. I own the place.
Yeah.
But I don't mind. If it needs to be done, I'll go do it.
Yeah.
You know? Vic, he's a member. He asked me, he's all, hey, why are you vacuuming? What? I mean, why do you do that? And I told him, and I used to not like to do it, but now I kind of like doing it because it's almost, once I clean the whole gym, it's like, ooh, it's pretty.
Yeah.
You know?
You get a self-accomplishment, outwork that self-doubt, right? That's one of the biggest things I've heard. And also, it's just their ego. Like, there's no ego at play when you're willing to go and clean the bathroom. It's like, you're not better than anybody else, and, you know, it's your place. So, and that's how you get those awards for being the best gym. Those little details, they all stack up.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's kind of funny, though, because people, they really don't understand. Like, man, you own the place. Why are you in there cleaning the toilets?
Right.
Because I can.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's got to get done, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I pay somebody else to do it and there's a little bit of poop left on there, I'm going to be mad because I just spent money and you didn't do a good job.
Right.
So I'll just do it myself.
Yeah. How old were you when you opened your first gym?
I opened my first gym in 2013. It was, I partnered up with a lady. We opened it in Boise, and it was called Fit for Life. Sold that to her. Opened up a second gym. Well, it was so this is after I finished college and everything. Then it was a corrective exercise strength training center. So we worked a lot on, it was almost like physical therapy, but a little bit more intense. Super slow. So I sold that one to Courtney. And she's still going very well. That's on Overland and Curtis. So if anybody's ever looking for a nice little place, she owns, oh my goodness, I forgot the name that she named it, but it's on Overland and Curtis. And then I opened a third one, which was called Fit City. Me and Eric, the owner of Jack's Nutrition, you know, one of my, you know, probably my best friend, we opened up that one, and it was way too much. But back then I was chasing the dollar. I didn't really care. So it was open enrollment, you know, trainers that really didn't know what they were doing, but I didn't care because I was making money. You know, people that were forming a clique that didn't like this group, and it just became a mess. So I sold that one to Casey Bonner over in Oregon, and he split it into 3 different gyms. One was in Vail, Oregon, one was in Ontario, and one in Payette. And then I thought I was going to retire. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm, you know, just going to relax. So my wife, she was a dental hygienist, and she's all, hey man, this is screwed up. I have to go to work every day and you kind of do whatever you want. I'm like, yeah. And she's all, it's not fair. And so there was a guy named Nate Tuttle that used to own, it was called Gym State Strength LLC. And so, and there really wasn't nothing in there. There was some functional fitness, I think some dumbbells, a leg press, 2 ellipticals, 2 treadmills, a cable crossover, and some just miscellaneous couple pieces. So one day, so I started working out there because it was private. And when I go to Axiom or everything, it's hard for me to work out because a lot of people, you know, come up and talk to me and ask me advice and stuff like that. So it was kind of like my little hideout to work out. Yeah. Well, him and his wife were going to move back up to Coeur d'Alene. He's all, hey, you know, are you interested in buying it? And I'm all, nah, you know. And then Mary's all, what? You know, so I go, okay, let me look at your numbers. You know, so I went over, you know, his books and everything. And he had, I think, 60 paying members. He had some of the Nampa high school working out there for free. And I think his increased revenue within a year was $300. So it was not making money. at all. So I thought, okay, well, that's okay. I don't really want to work.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I'll buy it. So I ended up buying it from Nate Tuttle, made it a private facility. And the reason I made it private is, again, I didn't want to work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I wanted to work, but I didn't want to have to work. You know, I was pretty, mindset of being lazy, and then I don't know what happened. I got, again, my wife, she motivated me, it kind of sucked, her having to go to work and me not. And then I was sitting around being like, it's kind of like, when you skip school, it's a great idea at the time, but everybody else is at school. So you're sitting there with no friends to play with.
Yeah. What am I going to do?
Yeah. So I talked her into quitting her job that she was at for 13 years. She was a dental hygienist. Yeah. So she made, decent money. And so once she quit her job, that's when I knew, ooh, I got to make this work, because now she's relying on me, and I talked her into quitting her job to join me in this. And then COVID came.
Oh,
yeah. Which is kind of, it sounds weird, but it kind of helped us. I train, some of the Nampa police, and I go, hey, do I shut down? They go, no, because I guess the laws or whatever were different in Nampa than they were in Boise. So a lot of businesses, or a lot of gyms are going out of business down in California and everything. So, online they were, having these little auctions and stuff. And so that gym went from no equipment to, and a lot of cool specialized stuff like pendulum squat, belt squat. Just a lot of stuff that you just don't see here, and so me driving around with a moving truck that I borrowed from, Kevin Price's brother. Gosh, I feel horrible because I can't remember. Jim Price. I used to train him. So we're cruising around picking up equipment in Utah, California, and then it went from a private gym. Well, because it was private, everybody wanted to be a member. So I'm like, wow, all right. Then we did an open enrollment. We do it 4 times a year. And then it's just a limited, like 2 weeks, and then we shut it off. And then it's a member referral. You have to know somebody to actually be a member at 3D Fitness. Well, then there started becoming a waiting list, and then it got really popular. And then it was like, we just ended up blessed, because it turned into something. Obviously a lot of hard work, a lot of, and my wife, again, right there with me in the moving truck, not comfortable, driving, and then it's just me because I either didn't have the money or just didn't want to spend the money to have people help me move all this stuff. So I'm, breaking my back and getting all these deals, and, ended up making it a pretty legit gym. But I think what gave me the drive is once I talked her into quitting her job, I was like, uh-oh, this is real. I better get to work.
It's like a burn the boats moment.
Yeah.
There's no going back.
Yeah. Yeah. When she did it, because I wanted her to, but I wasn't like, yeah, quit your job. Yeah, quit. She got a great job.
Yeah.
And then when it happened, I'm like, oh,
how hard was it for her to quit?
It was
being
hard.
There for 13 years.
Yeah, it was hard, and I kind of was giving her a hard time, but kind of joking a little bit, but being serious. So when it happened, I was like, ooh.
Oh, she did it. Yeah.
Okay, now I got to get serious. So then during the COVID, I turned the front of the building into an apartment. So I had my overhead extremely low. I think, I really wasn't paying a lot of bills till the clientele got built up, And so there was just certain things that I put in place to get where I'm at today, and that's what I mean. Like, she's a soldier. We went from a decent, condo to, it's not bad, but it's definitely not what my wife is used to. My wife grew up spoiled.
Yeah.
She grew up in California. Her dad was a bigwig in Pepsi. So, she lived, pretty much in country club kind of setting, stuff like that. So, yeah, she's definitely made sacrifices to make this work.
It's kind of cool because then you guys come from 2 different spectrums, so you can
Totally
level
different.
each other out.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by she's a savage. Like, she has absolutely no idea the kind of life that I came from. It's something that you would see in a movie.
Yeah.
the whole Nogales, coming over, picking, in Phoenix to transport things down to Oakland. I mean, just a lot of bad, evil, criminal kind of stuff, that I grew up in. And she was like, huh? So she's a pretty cool girl.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for people to fathom when you start to tell them your story. And I think that's kind of a hard part because, you and I know you're like, no one's going to believe me.
Yeah.
This isn't normal. This isn't what they've known. And so you tell them and it's like, it sounds like it's so far-fetched that it can't be a reality, but unfortunately it's a lot of people's reality. And a lot of people here in America, even just locally, they don't understand how bad it is here locally. For some people, they just can hide it really well.
Yeah. It's funny because, and I, for a long time, I really didn't talk about it and stuff like that. And so, but now I'm opening up more and more and more about, because there's a lot of things that I feel guilty about, and a lot of things that I wish that I didn't do. I guess I'm ashamed of that I was involved in certain things. But so there was this time we were in Walmart, and Mary kind of knew a little bit about, how I grew up and everything. And a guy came up to me and he's all, Charlie Fortik? And I'm all, yeah. And he's all, you remember me? And I'm all, man, I don't. I'm being a professional athlete, sometimes you get a lot of people that come up to you and stuff. And he's all, your parents left you at my house and you stayed with us for like a month? And I'm all, man, I sorry, that happened a lot, me growing up, so I don't remember. And he's all, yeah, I came home from school one day and you were just gone. And so Mary was like, wow, that kind of stuff really happened to you? And I'm all, yeah. And then it was funny because, and this is kind of a funny story, there was this girl that used to suntan topless, and we used to get on the side of the hill and we'd watch her. But once he reminded me of that, I'm all, yep, I remember you. Yeah. I remember doing that. So yeah, I remember being left at your house.
Yeah.
But yeah, just things like that. Mary met my mother, and she was just kind of blown away that just the things that I went through as a kid. Having a mother that's an alcoholic, and and I don't blame her either. And here's the thing about forgiving somebody. I forgave her not for her, but I forgave her for me, because once I let go of all that stuff and forgave her, it didn't keep me trapped, and it didn't keep me as a victim. Because until I forgave her, I kind of thought, oh, poor me. You know what? This is, this happened to me and this happened to me. And, she should have never have, who cares? I forgive her. It is what it is. She's her own person. I'm okay with it. I'm a grown man. I'm very successful. I'm got a good wife. I, have good friends like you. I just, I'm definitely a good person, and there's no reason to hold on to that resentment or hate. And that's a strong word, but, and not her, but the situations that happened, growing up, yeah, I don't have any ill will or ill feelings or anything anymore, and it was to help me recover.
Yeah. I think going from hateful to grateful is such a powerful thing. It just, going from victim to victor.
Yeah.
And, actually being appreciative for all those hard times, because I think if you can turn it from poor me to, man, I'm so much further ahead because of those hard times early on in life, my foundation is so much stronger to build up from there. And, I ran into this with my parents. My episode came out last week, and unfortunately I never really talked to my parents about much that happened when I was a kid, and they all feel terrible and everything, and like beating themselves up. And I just had to explain to them that I wouldn't change anything. And I'm glad that, I shouldn't say I'm glad, but it's a gift for me. I feel like
it's a tool that you gained through life.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like I'm further ahead than some people that had it much easier than me. My chaos level, I feel, is lower. Something that would break someone else, I can be like, I've done way worse than that. Yep. And also, if I can use that to help someone else, then
because you could recognize it. If you see somebody, And here's the thing is, I think like people like me and you, or you know, it's, if we could help one person, no, it's not their fault. And I'm talking about, you know, young people, because when I was young, I thought it was my fault. I thought I was getting beat because something was wrong with me. You know, I thought, you know, the things that were happening to me were, you know, because I ended up being ornery, you know, and then I was, you know, really resentful. And then I was kind of not the best to handle, you know. So I always thought it was me, but it's not you. It's your environment. It's there's nothing wrong with you. There's some sick people that do things to kids that aren't, you know, right. And for the kid to think that it's their fault and not say anything because they're shamed or they think that they're going to get in trouble for it or something like that. Yeah, that's why I'm okay with everything that I went through. Because if I could just tell one kid, say, hey, man, just let somebody know, you know, and you know, if they need to reach out to you on this podcast or whatever and be like, hey, man, I heard it and I don't know who to tell, but this, you know, Charlie, you guys don't judge and I need some help because I want this to stop.
Yeah.
You know?
What's the medallion you have? Isn't that the protector of kids?
Yeah. So it's St. Christopher. So I had one when I was really, really little. Well, not really little. I guess I was like 16 and I had lost it in a swimming pool and I'd never had, so when I'd be scared and stuff, you know, growing up, I'd hold on to it with my hand and I would pray, you know, and it would comfort me in like a mental, like, you know, okay, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Cause I know, you know, St. Christopher, you know, or it was really Jesus, you know, God, you know, is going to, you know, kind of help me through this. So me and Mary were in New York for Christmas and I can't remember somewhere. And I seen it and I told her the story about, man, I used to have one when I was not this nice. I mean, mine was just a little silver one when I was a kid. But and we were in New York and she gave it to me for Christmas. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, just stuff like that. Like she's just just a solid girl, you know, and just like, hey, you got your comfort back. Whenever you start, you know, just, you know, grab a hold of it and.
Yeah. Yeah, I never see you without it. It's once you told me about that, I thought it was really special too.
Yeah. And it's funny because, and this sounds bad, sometimes I'll forget to put my wedding ring, but I never, it's like, oh, nope. It's like I feel naked, like, uh-oh. You know, if I don't feel it on there, it's almost like I panic, like, where's it at?
Yeah.
You know?
I've never been able to wear jewelry, so I don't wear a wedding ring, but I did have one, and then it just got lost when we were playing Frisbee golf at Camelback Park, and luckily it was like a $20 ring on Amazon. I got lucky. My wife's not materialistic. Her wedding ring is only like the same. We got both of them on Amazon for like $50. But
I used to wear the silicone one, but every time I'd wash my hands, I would lose it. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah. I thought about getting a tattoo, but I haven't got to that yet. Yeah, I've never been able to wear, like, I've had watches, the nice Samsung watches or the Fitbits or whatever, and I just would wear it for a couple days and I just couldn't ever wear anything. So
yeah.
But yeah, dude, I think it's really cool to be able just to sit back and think, if I went through all of that and I can help one other person out, then it was all worth it.
Yeah. Sacrifice 1, save 1 million. And I don't want to relate. Well, I guess I kind of do, but like Jesus, you know, he sacrificed himself and went through that, you know, to save us of our sins. And I know that's an extreme, but it's kind of the same. Like, we went through what we went through for a purpose. You know, God's got a plan, you know, so let's not go through all that for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, so let's use it. You know? And if we could help somebody, well, then if we could help one person not have to go through what we went through, boom, that's good. You know, that's good enough for me. Cause I remember even at 50 years old, I remember how scared I was and how many times like I'd have to, you know, keep my eyes open and see what kind of mood everybody's in to see if I was going to catch a beating that day or you know what, you know, and a kid that young, you know, and I'm talking even 8 years old, shouldn't be worried throughout the day of what he does. Did he leave a cup on the counter? Did he not do this or did he do that? Because there was no like, hey, you need to put that away. It was just straight to the beating.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. It sucks. It's hard to think about sometimes, but I think it's easier to think about when you think I went through that for a reason. And it's just hard, I think, especially when you're getting those beatings and everything, to understand that there is a God's plan. And I know I lost faith for, probably when I was 8 years old, I probably was like, there's no way. You keep hearing about God's plan and stuff, and then you're getting beat and you're getting starved and you're getting all these other things happening, and you're like, how can there be a plan for me? And then, sure enough, was it 18 years later, I start to realize that, oh, okay, there's something, but it's really hard to understand why you're in it. But I think that's where you can, if you do have a strong faith, then
see. And I didn't even know who God was.
Yeah.
Like I had absolutely no clue. I mean, I kind of heard of,
Right.
God, but I had no idea of anything because I just wasn't a part of my environment growing up. Mm-hmm. It was all about bikers, boozing, drugs, and just a real big mess. And so kids weren't like a big priority in that kind of life.
There's kind of like a bystander.
Yeah.
Of just everything going on around you.
Like almost like an inconvenience. And I was told that as a kid, you're an inconvenience, So I slept in a shed outside of a almost condemned trailer, and the shed was metal. So in the summer, it got hot, but I didn't really have nowhere else to go. And that's at I think 11 or 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy just to think of how far you've come from the lowest of lows to now being able to help other people, man. I mean, not mindset, but helping them with their body. But I think the mindset's the biggest thing.
I'm a straight up Garden City kid. And anybody that's a Garden City kid knows what I'm talking about. We are all poor as crap. We all hung together. And, there's a lot of us that didn't make it, but there's a lot of us that, did, So, yeah, I'm Garden City in the 80s and 90s. It's not like it is now. It was a shithole. Lots of drugs and lots of criminals.
For someone that might be watching this and is in that bad environment and doesn't think that there's anything else, what's a good step for them to just realize the different ways that there is to live, or that there's other options and you don't have to be the product of your environment and you can make something out of yourself?
So I think the number one step, and this is the tough step because when you grow up like that, it's extremely hard to trust anybody. But find somebody that you almost admire and let them know what's going on. And then, start talking, and let them kind of guide you. You know what I mean? It's like as a kid, Officer Lords, and Greg Lords is Chris Lords' father. I used to, hang out at Sunset Park a lot because I really didn't have nowhere else to go, but they lived right next to it. And he was an officer, so he knew what my home life was like. He would invite me over, and he was LDS, so they had a lot of food and a big family. So he really was somebody that I'll never forget about. He would let me eat there. I would play on the trampoline. I felt like family-like. So, he was a big, big part, of when I was a kid. And like him, if I could have went back, I would have just told him, hey, I need help. This is, but I was just so ashamed because I thought it was something wrong with me that I was embarrassed to let anybody know what was going on with me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird looking back thinking, like, if I would have just told someone, it could have been different. But when
you're taught not to.
Yep, exactly. Or for me, like, I was threatened if I did. And then when I tried one time to tell someone, I tried telling the cops when they came to my house, and then, my dad and my stepmom told him that I was just a habitual liar, and then the cops wrote it off like it was nothing. And then you lose a lot of hope, and then...
and we form that honoriness. So it's easy to believe, he's a habitual liar because you're an honorary kid because you've became rebellious of people that you're supposed to trust.
Yeah.
So, and they take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's really sad. But like I've told my parents a bunch of times, like I wouldn't change anything, man. I think that having a crappy childhood will make me a better father because I know what I need to do, and I'll definitely make sure that my kids don't have to deal with step parents, right? Because I mean, I'm not saying all step parents are bad. I actually have a really good stepmom right now, and she's a therapist, and she's been great. But I think that you go through things that you need to do, like
to make you who you are.
Yeah,
it really is. I believe that too. Like I am who I am because of the life that I lived.
Yeah, yeah, and
I'm a good person.
Yeah,
I'm really. Like, I truly 100% believe that I'm a good person. There was a time in my life that I was very evil, and I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of because I thought that's just how life was. And I thought, if people fear me, they respect me, and, I'm the one running everything, So I got really caught up in a dark, just not a good place.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think that their downfalls in life are what disqualifies them when it's actually the reverse. And it's a lot easier to take advice from, like, say, an alcoholic that wants to stop drinking. It's easier to take advice from someone that's been an alcoholic and changed their lives. And now that qualifies you to be able to help that person rather than talking to someone that's been a straight edge their whole life, never done any drugs or alcohol. But on the inverse, now they can talk to someone that's gone through the depths of hell, and now they can see that there is hope for the other side. So I think a lot of times just turning what you think would be your weaknesses is actually what's going to qualify you to actually help other people.
Yeah, like I have a friend, a Nick Walker. Like for one, he's one of the top Olympians, right? And I met him. I was judging a show in Utah. I met him, and that guy is a stud. One, he opened up and he let people. I mean, he's a kind of celebrity, in bodybuilding, and he talks about being molested and stuff, growing up. And the other thing is Nick always takes time to talk to me. I don't care how busy he is. If I hit him up, and I'm nobody, I'm just some guy in Boise, Idaho, but he's genuine. It's he's always like, yeah, Charlie, or nope, I wouldn't do that, or yep, or
yeah,
he's just, so, and for him to be where he's at and not worry about what the fuck people think and open up and say, yeah, I was molested, growing up, man, that takes, because you got to wonder, am I going to lose all my celebrities, am I going to lose all my,
like his followers and stuff.
Yeah, his followers and all that, if I let people know that I was molested. And I think by him opening up and saying that, I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty dang sure that it gave a lot of other kids confidence to say, hey, I was molested too.
Yeah.
So I give Nick Walker props for, doing that. And I think I think that's probably why he's one of the most popular bodybuilders in the industry, is because he really is open and honest. He's very transparent. I mean, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can connect with your story more than they can your stats.
Yeah.
Right? Like, obviously, he could be a great bodybuilder, but there's a lot of great bodybuilders out there. What's going to connect them is his story. Bedros Keuilian has the same thing. He was molested in Armenia as a kid, and David Goggins goes through a whole bunch of child abuse as a kid.
Yeah.
And they open up about all their stories, and without their story, their accomplishments would really be minute compared to what they've had to go through to get there. So it's that hard point of, you got to realize that being vulnerable and opening up your story is a huge part of growth, not just for you, but for somebody else to realize that they're not alone. And like, for me, talking to you a lot, it gives me hope seeing that, coming from a troubled childhood like you have, and then to be where you're at now, it's like, man, okay, so I still got a chance,
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. And I'm appreciative that
anything's possible.
Yeah. It's huge, man. I just appreciate, the universe putting us together. Like, it's sweet.
And I really do believe in that. I believe in energy. I love God, and I'm a huge believer, in God, but I also believe, like, the laws of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
I really, and I believe, speaking into truth, like, so on my mirror in my bathroom, I have don't let anybody outwork you. And it's been up there, and my wife, she's got better handwriting than me. So I had her write it on there for me a while ago, and I read it every day. And it's not like just outwork me physically. Don't outwork me as being a better husband, because there's always, room to improve. Don't let people outwork me as a friend. Don't let people outwork me in business. Don't let people outwork me in, the way I treat my dogs. I always try to be the best that I could be. I always try to win the day that I'm in.
Yeah. I think that I heard, what was it on my story I just put, but it's like practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes improvement. There's always room for improvement.
Yep.
As long as you're always working on yourself, because what do they say too? You don't find success, you create success. You have to create the person that can find the success first, right?
Exactly. And it's all mental. It's a mindset, man. It's a mindset. Yeah.
I've told people that I think the more hard things that you can put yourself through voluntarily will make your life a lot better. It's just like, oh, I've gone through this. I can make it, it's just whether it's going to climbing a mountain in the middle of winter or whatever you want to do, but just voluntarily put yourself through some hard challenges and just building that confidence in your head.
I have a cold plunge in my house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a challenge, because sometimes, and that's getting mentally fit, because if I think about it and if I think of how cold it is, I could talk myself out of it. But if I just don't think about it and don't build up, and I just get in it, it's a lot easier. But it's almost like the anticipation and, thinking about how cold it is, how cold I'm going to be when I'm in there, all that stuff. Our mind will talk us out of doing what we can do, because I can do it. I've gotten at 30, it was 36 degrees. I went 8 minutes from my neck down.
Ooh.
Yeah. But it was weird, because I got out because I thought maybe I'm hurting myself. But after about 5 minutes, I didn't really feel the cold anymore.
Yeah.
It was strange, unless I moved.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I moved then I didn't move.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all achievable. Like, that wasn't that bad. And this is the other thing. Once I was done with the 8 minutes, I was like, man, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But before I got in there, I was thinking how bad it's going to be, how cold it's going to be. And oh my gosh, can I do this? I got out and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I think,
and I do it probably 3 times a week now.
the worst part is just taking that first step.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of, in everything in life, right? I think that if, for you and I, we wake up at 2:45 in the morning, but like if you just hit that snooze button, you've lost a day.
Yep.
And just getting up is the hardest part. Like once I flip my bathroom light on, I'm good.
And I don't know about you, but if I don't, it ruins my whole day. It seems like my meetings, I'm rushing, I'm behind, my food's messed up. It's almost like if I get up, even if I don't have to get up, like I walk my dogs, for 3 miles. I don't have to do that, but that's part of my routine, to where it's like, nope, everything, I'm very structured, I guess.
Yeah.
Through the week.
Right.
The weekends, yeah.
Yeah, like same for me. Like I won't get up on the weekends at 2:45. Like I usually get up around 5, which is still pretty early for some people, but for me that's sleeping in from 2:45 to 5. But
I would love to do that, but Savage,
yeah,
he's got an internal clock. He starts whining,
right?
Because he's like, on the weekends, hey, are we going for a walk? Because he doesn't know it's a weekend.
I need to build back up my discipline. I used to be good at just waking up at the same time every day. I don't know. Sometimes I'm up a little later. Like if I don't go to bed at 8:30 and I go to bed at 9:30, my body hates it. Like it's a complete different thing. And
I think I got a little bit of an advantage, because I take a nap religious every day from 10:30 till about 11:30, sometimes 12. So even if I only get a couple hours of sleep, I know like that's okay. I got my nap coming, and it gives me like the mental like push through. Come on.
Now you can break your day up into like probably 2 productive work days from 2:45 in the morning till noon, and then
and then I sleep a little bit, and then
yeah, dude. I think that's sweet. I've always told everybody, if you want to start anywhere, set an alarm and don't hit the snooze button.
Don't,
because that's gonna build your discipline. Even if it's just waking up a half hour earlier one week and then a half hour earlier the next week, get to where you want to get. But if you can stack those little wins, I didn't hit the snooze button. I ate my pre-workout meal. I went to go work at the gym.
And it really is those little things that add up. You know, and we don't see them till the end of the month or the end of 6 months. Like we were talking about working out, you don't see immediate results. It takes time and it takes a lot of work and it takes discipline. But I guarantee you in 6 months to a year, you're going to look back and go, look what I've seen pictures of you, you know, from your start to finish. And it's like, wow, you don't even look like the same person, you know? So for you not giving up, you know, because in the beginning you're like, what's the point of this? Nothing's happening. But you stuck with it and man, you look good.
Hey,
you know?
I have a good trainer.
Yeah.
One of the best analogies I heard for weight loss is it's kind of like a roll of toilet paper. You're just going to take little pieces off and you're not going to see a lot coming out at a time, but you keep going and pretty soon it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. But if you're just going to judge it after that first time taking it off, you're not going to see any differences. You just got to get 100 workouts in and then determine.
I've never heard of that. I like that one.
You know,
I think I'm going to use that to, you know, to let people know when they're, you know, talking about, well, I don't know if I could do it. Well, you can, but it's going to be one square at a time.
Yeah. The hard part is too, is that for a little bit, you're going to be losing some fat and you're going to be gaining muscle, but the scale won't say anything.
Yeah, because so as you stimulate the protein synthesis inside the body, that muscle is sucking in the nutrients. So that muscle cell is getting heavier, but you're actually losing fat. Yeah. But you're like, what the heck, man? Yeah. The scale's the same. I've been working my butt off.
Yeah.
You know? But then if you like pay attention, your movement is better. Your sleepiness is totally different. So yeah, if you pay attention to like how your body feels, but yeah, the scale is very convincing.
Yeah, I wish people would just completely get rid of their scale when they're, you know, if you want to look at the scale, look at it once a month.
Yeah.
But like, you're not going to see it.
I pinch. So,
yeah.
And I do a fitness test. So like your fitness test. So you started out, you know, your body only does 3 things: push, squats, and pulls, and then cardio. So you did 12 minutes on the treadmill. We measured your distance, and I think you're at a 10% incline.
Yeah.
You know, we measured your distance in 12 minutes, and that improved. And then your push, you know, your first numbers, you know, weren't, I mean, they were okay, but they weren't like they are now. Yeah. Those improved. Your leg press, that improved. Your back, and your back was your weakest, and that improved a lot. So, and that a trainer can't fib because that's 100% up to you because that's your physical performance. You know, a pinch, a trainer could fib, you know, like say, oh, you're doing great. You've lost 3%. You know, because they okey doke the numbers to get you to keep, you know, paying them money or whatever the case, you know. But I combine them both. So I pinch you and I have you do a fitness test about every 30 days. So you can see, and it only lasts for probably about 3 to 4 months. Once you're out of phase 2, we don't really need to do the fitness test anymore because now your mind has changed. Now you believe it.
Yeah.
You know, because if you can see it on paper and you are doing it and you see the difference in your performance, then you're like driven, like, hell yeah, I'm doing this, you know. But I use that as a tool to, you know, like yours, you know, it's like, wow, man, your legs came up. I can't remember your numbers, but yeah. I remember your numbers were definitely better than your very first one.
Yeah, because you get both that mindset affirmation, but then you got crystal clear on paper.
Yeah.
You can see the charts going up, and then your brain just believes it even more. And then we go back to that whole mindset power over anything. Yeah. And now you're going to push it a little extra harder.
A little bit harder because you want your next fitness test to even be better than that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Charlie, I really appreciated everything. I'm sure I'll have you on again. And I hope that everybody goes and follows you. He's at 3D Fitness. What do they follow you on online? I know you guys like Charlie. I think it's Charlie and Mary on Instagram. I'll put all the links up, but and then you guys have.
Isn't that horrible? I don't even manage my own social media.
You know, if you ask me what mine were right now, I know it's Sidwell.fitness on Instagram, but I don't know anything else. So, but I'll put all the links up for everybody.
I know there's a 3D Fitness Facebook page. You're right, Mary and Charlie, and I think there's a 3D Fitness Instagram. I think we're just now starting to put together a TikTok, which I started a personal TikTok just to kind of get familiar with it, and that's Charlie Fortik. But yeah, there's a lot of cool kind of.
And then go check out Jack's Nutrition too.
Yeah,
I know every time I go on a road trip, I don't want to go get snacks at the gas station or anything.
And we have a great
collection of snacks. Yeah,
actually, I think we have more variety than any other store in the valley. Like,
and their macros are actually good, and the protein snacks are actually good. It's not like a lot of times at gas station you go like the healthy section and you start looking it over and it's pretty much just a candy bar.
yep,
You know,
with a little bit of protein to call it good.
like those little cookies of Larry and Benny, or
Yeah.
like one of my clients is like, oh, I love these things. Like, no, you got to look at the macros. Just because it's in the healthy section, it's all back to that, you know.
Let's add a little bit of protein to a candy bar, and we're going to call it a fitness bar.
Yeah. Might as well eat a Snickers. There's still protein in Snickers.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, I really appreciate you, man. We'll have you on again. And hopefully, you know, the new gym's going to take off well. And that's going to be next year. But
Yeah.
I can't wait to see all the growth you got. And again, I appreciate you being on my life.
Yeah, man. I'm having fun.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right.